every U.S. aircraft of World War II. This is the story of every American plane that took to the skies in World War II. From nimble fighters to massive bombers, from vital transports to early drones, each aircraft had its mission, and some left an indelible mark on history. Join us as we explore their role in the skies of World War II. Fighters and interceptors. Let's begin with the fighters and interceptors that ruled the skies. Bell P-39 Airacobra. This featured a truly unique mid-engine entry. Its main strength was the 37mm cannon firing right through the propeller hub. While it struggled at high altitudes, it saw extensive and successful service in the Soviet Air Force. Boeing P-26 Pea Shooter. A pre-war relic, this was America's last fighter with an open cockpit and fixed landing gear. Though obsolete by 1941, it served bravely in the Philippines during the opening days of the war. Brewster F-2A Buffalo. Despite being bulky and underpowered, it was the U.S. Navy's first monoplane fighter. It performed poorly against the Zero in the Pacific, but saw unexpected success with Finnish pilots in the Winter War. Curtiss P-36 Hawk. An early modern fighter design that performed well in French service during the Battle of France. By 1941, it was mostly relegated to training or colonial duty. Curtiss P-40 Warhawk. A dependable, rugged fighter that became the backbone of the Army Air Forces at the start of the war. Its low-altitude performance made it famous with the Flying Tigers in China. Grumman F-4F Wildcat. A tough, slow, but reliable carrier-based fighter. Its ability to absorb incredible punishment made it essential during the early Pacific naval battles, especially at Midway and Guadalcanal. Grumman F-6F Hellcat. Known as the Zero Killer, this robust machine replaced the Wildcat. It achieved a staggering 19-to-1 kill ratio against Japanese planes and became the dominant carrier fighter of the Pacific War. Lockheed P-38 Lightning. Its distinctive twin booms defined this magnificent long-range escort. It was the only American fighter in large-scale production from Pearl Harbor to VJ Day, serving in every theater. Lockheed P-332 Lightning. A stripped-down export version of the Lightning intended for Britain and France. It was later retained by the U.S. after the fall of France. North American P-51 Mustang. Arguably the finest piston-engine fighter of the war. With the installation of the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine, it provided crucial long-range escort deep into Germany, finally protecting bomber formations all the way to their targets. Northrop P-61 Black Widow. America's first dedicated radar-equipped night fighter. This large, powerful aircraft utilized a three-man crew to hunt nocturnal enemy bombers over Europe and the Pacific. Republic P-35. An early all-metal fighter design from Seversky. It was a stepping stone toward the famous Thunderbolt, providing valuable pre-war experience to pilots. Republic P-43 Lancer. This served as an important high-altitude interim fighter. Many were shipped to China, where they provided valuable service until more advanced types arrived. Republic P-47 Thunderbolt. Known affectionately as the Jug, this massive fighter was incredibly durable, fast in a dive, and an absolutely devastating ground attack platform. It became one of the most produced fighters in American history. Seversky P-35. An innovative pre-war design that helped transition the Army Air Forces to modern monoplanes. It served briefly before being replaced by newer types. Vought F-4U Corsair. The Whistle of Death. Its inverted gull wing design accommodated a massive propeller. It became one of the fastest and most iconic carrier fighters of the conflict, dominating in the Pacific. Bombers. Next up, the bombers that carried the war to the enemy. Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress.
the iconic four-engine heavy bomber, famous for its incredible ability to withstand massive enemy flak and fighter attacks over Europe. It became a symbol of American air power. Consolidated B-24 Liberator, the most produced American aircraft of the war. This bomber was known for its massive payload capacity and exceptional range, serving in every theater from Europe to the Pacific. Boeing B-29 Superfortress, a technological marvel of its time. This very heavy bomber delivered the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki and was key to the final defeat of Japan through its devastating firebombing campaigns. Douglas B-18 Bolo, a pre-war medium bomber quickly relegated to transport and coastal patrol duties early in the war due to its low speed and vulnerability. Douglas B-23 Dragon, an improved version of the B-18. It also saw little combat and was primarily used as a high-speed executive transport across the continental United States. Martin B-26 Marauder, nicknamed the Widowmaker early on due to its high landing speed requirements. Once mastered, it became a highly effective and very tough medium bomber with one of the lowest loss rates in the European theater. North American B-25 Mitchell. Famous for the Doolittle raid, this extremely versatile medium bomber flew missions ranging from high-level bombing to low-level strafing runs. It served brilliantly in every theater of the war. Lockheed PV Ventura. Developed from the Lodestar transport, it served primarily with the Royal Air Force for patrol and bombing, and later with the U.S. Navy as a patrol bomber. Attack and light bombers. Douglas A-20 Havoc, a nimble, fast, and very effective light bomber. It served extensively as a night intruder and ground strafer across all theaters of operation. Douglas A-24 Banshee, the Army Air Force's version of the famous SBD Dauntless dive bomber. It suffered heavy losses in early Pacific operations, particularly in the Dutch East Indies. Douglas A-26 Invader, a fast, highly versatile twin-engine light bomber. It arrived late in the war, but proved invaluable for its speed and phenomenal ground attack firepower. Martin Maryland, a light attack bomber primarily supplied to France and Great Britain. It played an important role in the early fighting in North Africa and the Mediterranean. Martin Baltimore, an evolution of the Maryland. This tough, reliable aircraft served extensively with British and Commonwealth forces, especially in the harsh Mediterranean theater. North American A-36 Apache, the dive bomber version of the P-51 Mustang. It was widely used in North Africa and the Mediterranean for precision ground attack missions. Northrop A-17, a sturdy pre-war monoplane attack aircraft. It was rapidly declared obsolete and mostly used for training purposes early in the war. Vultee V-72 Vengeance, a dedicated two-seat dive bomber heavily used by the Royal Air Force and Royal Australian Air Force in the Southeast Asia theater. Naval Strike Aircraft. Curtiss SB-2C Helldiver, nicknamed the Beast. While powerful, this dive bomber was initially plagued by poor handling and reliability issues, though it matured into an effective weapon later in the war. Douglas SBD Dauntless, the decisive dive bomber of the early Pacific War. Its pinpoint accuracy was instrumental in sinking Japanese carriers at the Battle of Midway, turning the tide of the Pacific campaign. Douglas TBD Devastator, the U.S. Navy's first monoplane torpedo bomber. It was tragically slow and obsolete, suffering devastating losses at Midway before being retired from service. Grumman TBF Avenger, a rugged torpedo bomber that replaced the Devastator. It was reliable, powerful, and essential for carrier strikes throughout the later conflict. Vought SB-2U Vindicator, a pre-war scout bomber that saw some limited use early in the war, notably at the Battle of Midway, but was quickly replaced by more advanced types. Patrol and flying boats. Boeing 314 Clipper. Not strictly a combat plane, but this famous civilian flying boat was requisitioned for transport during the war. It provided vital long-distance logistics routes across the oceans. Consolidated PBY Catalina. The iconic workhorse patrol bomber, slow but incredibly durable and long-ranged. It was essential for reconnaissance, anti-submarine warfare, and air-sea rescue throughout the war. Consolidated PB-2Y Coronado. A very large four-engine flying boat primarily utilized for long-range transport across the vast distances of the Pacific Theater, moving critical personnel and cargo.
Thank you for watching to the very end. What vehicles did we miss in the video? Kindly drop your thought to improve our next video.